Welcome to Module 6 of the Intrust course, Closing the Loop in the Forest Wood Furniture Sector. My name is Erwan Moisan. I am Circular Economy Manager at Ecores, a Belgian-based consultancy focusing on facilitating the transition to a fair and sustainable future. I'm also Assistant Professor at the University of Vaasa, Finland, and I will be your trainer for this module. In this module, we will dive into the concept of circular economy, an alternative economic system that departs from the take-make-waste linear economy, which has caused several environmental challenges. Thinking circular can be highly relevant for the forest wood furniture value chain. In this module, we will provide you with a synthesized description of the circular economy, explain the concept and its related strategies, and we then clarify how the circular economy can be implemented in the forest wood furniture value chain, provide you with relevant best practices. As circular and digital solutions often go hand in hand, we will also highlight circular digital solutions implemented in the sector. This module is comprised of 5 units. In the first unit, we will explain how circular economy is a promising transition strategy. In the Unit 2, we will look more deeply into circular business models in the forest wood furniture value chain. In the third unit, we will provide you with the marketing and communication tips to include circular economy in your value proposition. In the fourth unit, we will take a pause and show how bridging digitalization and circular economy in the forest wood furniture value chain can bring some additional benefits. And finally, in the fifth unit, we will explore a few examples of circular economy in the forest wood furniture value chain. But let's start now with Unit 6.1, Circular Economy as an Enabling Transition Strategy. At the end of this unit, we expect you to understand how circular economy can be used as an overarching approach to make the wood value chain more resilient and sustainable. You will understand the basic principles of circular economy and its connection to the forest wood furniture value chain. You will also recognize the most useful circular strategy based on your position in the value chain. And finally, you will know how to select and prioritize circular and digital strategies. But let's start now with some fundamental knowledge around circular economy. First, it's important to acknowledge that our current economy can be defined as linear. We take resources from Earth, we produce stuff, which is often quickly discarded after use and generating massive amounts of waste. Without going too much into details, we know that this approach is not sustainable. We generate too much waste, too much pollution, we increase the amount of CO2 emissions, which leads to climate change, we erode our ecosystems and make biodiversity at risk. So the goal of the circular economy is to offer an alternative model of production and consumption that can allow us to be more sustainable and significantly reduce our impact on our natural ecosystems. In a circular model, waste and pollution are designed out, products and material are kept in use in values sustained for as long as possible, and natural systems are regenerated. There are several definitions of circular economy in the literature, but at least we can agree on some of the objectives and the general overarching approach. So we can define circular economy as a system that is restorative and regenerative by intention and design, which supports ecosystem functioning, human well-being, with the aim of accomplishing sustainable development. One important approach is to take a resource flow focus, trying to close, slow, and narrow resource flows. Narrowing means reducing the amount of materials that are circulating. Slowing means making sure that products and materials stay in use for as long as possible. And closing means finding ways to reuse or recycle products and materials to allow for new product development without using additional virgin materials. Another aspect to keep in mind when thinking circular is to use renewable sources for energy and also obviously for materials. How is this approach concretely made possible? Well, you need to rethink product design, bring out new inventions, new innovations, rethink how your company is creating value, and look at how organizations altogether can collaborate with each other to make this possible. This transformation should happen at different levels, at company level, at policy level, at civil society level, but also at individual level. Everybody has a role to play. Companies, for instance, should be placing more sustainable products on the market, apply sustainable design principles, rethink their business model. Policymakers should develop new legislation, financial incentives, environmental and social labeling schemes, awareness-raising campaigns to influence the market. Organized civil society should support the transition through informing citizens and also demand for ambitious reforms. And ultimately, citizens, as individual consumers, should adopt more sustainable practices. So why should your company be involved in a circular economy? Well, there are several benefits that should be highlighted. Recent research shows that applying circular economy principles can be good for business. An Accenture research project, for instance, showed that there was a potential of $4.3 trillion of economic output by 2030 if circular approaches were developed by businesses. Circular economy can also create additional jobs, specifically in the recycling, repair, renting, or remanufacturing segment. From a resilience perspective, focusing on recycled materials can also reduce the dependence on virgin materials that are quite highly fluctuating in terms of price. Another added value is the way new circular business models, for instance leasing or subscription-based models, can enhance customer loyalty. Beyond business benefits, there are also clear environmental benefits associated with circularity thinking. In order to fight climate change, circular economy can offer strong benefits. A recent report from Circle Economy suggests that we could reduce CO2 emissions by 30% by 2032 if we were to generalize the implementation of circularity thinking. Beyond CO2, there are two other obvious benefits, obviously, that relate to reduction of waste and reduced resource consumption. Reducing natural resource consumption is core to the circular economy concept, and it has the potential to decrease our use of these resources by up to 70%. There are, however, challenges to address if we want to increase this circularity rate. First of all, we have to acknowledge that not every sector can fully embrace circularity, and that sometimes some specific waste cannot be ultimately 100% recycled, for instance hazardous waste such as mercury and asbestos. One challenge also is to make sure that recovering products for recycling remain still financially desirable. In these limitations, the regulatory landscape has a strong role to play to make circular principles more desirable and financially rewarding. Another critique that has emanated from research is that circular economy is often too much focusing on business or environmental benefits, yet missing social dimensions. It is thus important to keep in mind how circular thinking should be rooted in local territories and take into account human dimensions of sustainability, such as quality of life or access to meaningful jobs, for instance. Despite all these challenges, the principles carried out by the circular economy offer lots of promises. It allows first to reconcile environmental stewardship with business concerns, advocating that value creation can still be achieved within strong planetary boundaries, but it also has shown more business opportunities than the concept of sustainable development that often has been perceived as limiting. Now let's look more concretely at the principles and the key strategies of circular economy. One famous way to visualize circular economy is through the butterfly diagram developed by Ellen MacArthur Foundation. The core of the butterfly is depicting the logical value chain of any product, from the extraction of material, the manufacturing of parts and products, the development of services, till the product goes into the hand of the user before eventually it's discarded. So the model can be read from two angles: the biological cycle on the left side and the technical cycle on the right side, so for which there are two separate sets of strategies. On the left-hand side of the model, there are loops related to biological nutrients, which are consumption products. We can highlight here renewable materials such as wood or food, for instance. Once they serve their purpose, the objective is that they re-enter the biosphere through soil, water, or air, and there should be safe nutrients to the biosphere and renewable resources for new products. On the right-hand side, the diagram shows the metabolism of technical nutrients or service products. The objective here is to keep products and material for as long as possible in use and minimize leakage of materials. The right-hand side strategies are the ones that we're going to be exploring further in this module. You may be also familiar with the 3R strategies: reduce, reuse, recycle. While in the recent years, additional R strategies have been added to sort of clarify and prioritize which strategies should be implemented to become more circular. These different strategies are classified in 3 groups: smarter product use and manufacture, extend lifespan of products and its parts, and finally, useful application of materials. So when developing circular strategies, it's highly important to start first from the top of the list, addressing, for instance, refuse, rethink, or reduce strategies. And if you look at the bottom of the list, recycling and recovery strategies, those are the least circular approaches, and they should only be selected if there is no other possibility to develop higher level strategies. I invite you on the Intrust platform to watch a specific short video that we developed that is actually detailing the different R strategies. Now that we've seen general principles about circular economy, let's see why this kind of approaches could be relevant to the forest wood furniture value chain. First of all, it's important to stress why wood as a material is a strategic resource, enabling the transition to a circular economy. Well, the starting point is that we have an increasing scarcity of natural resources, so we should manage them in the most effective way in order to reduce the ecological impact of human activities. And the key role for the forest sector in the transition is related to the fact that wood is a biodegradable raw material. It's a strategic natural resource that can be used for creating reusable and recyclable materials. Wood-based products and production residues can be used, reused, recycled, and biodegraded. This material efficiency, well embedded in the forest sector production processes, can be extended to other value chains as well. Forest-based industries can help transform several strategic sectors, such as construction, textile, packaging industries, and they can help them become more circular, each with a reduced environmental footprint. If we focus on sawn wood, we can stress that wood follows a natural carbon cycle, even though the loop may stretch over many decades. This means that it has significant advantages over other materials that do not harmlessly biodegrade. So when thinking circular about wood, we should look at it from a cascading process, meaning that the material can be used multiple times for multiple purposes. Even if we know that sawn wood cannot be indefinitely reused as it deteriorates over time, we can still stress that a very high degree of resource efficiency can be achieved by trying to keep the material in use for as long as possible before it reaches the next stage. And contaminated wood in used products can also be reprocessed back into sawn wood. For example, post-consumer wood could be recovered for reprocessing into sawn wood and then remanufactured into particle board. Transitioning to circularity or closing the loop requires systems innovation and coordination across the entire supply chain. Another opportunity for sawmills is to further reduce the imbalances between their material and energy uses of residues. This can include the application of intelligent wood cycles, whereby residues from the sawn mill and recycled wood are more effectively utilized. The intelligent component in such wood cycles refer to improved sorting processes that increase the volume of waste wood that is made available for cascading use rather than being used for energy applications. If we focus on furniture applications, we know that wood is of critical importance. 30% of the material used in manufacturing furniture is actually wood. 2/3 of particle board and about half of all medium density fiberboard produced within the EU is actually used by the sector. So it's highly relevant to develop material efficiency and circularity in wood for the furniture sector. Currently though, there is still work to do to make the furniture industry more circular. According to the European Federation of Furniture Manufacturers, the total annual furniture waste equals to 10.78 million tons at EU level. 80 to 90% of all furniture waste is still being incinerated or is sent to landfill, and only 10% is being recycled. So here we see we have still quite some challenges ahead. But how concretely can circularity be included in the furniture sector? Well, first, the key strategy is to focus on sustainable sourcing of the raw material at the beginning of the value chain. Focus should be on using recycled wood and wood obtained from sustainably managed forests that are labeled with sustainable certifications such as PEFC or FSC that you may have heard in the previous modules. Next step is to decide how the wood can be kept in the loop for as long as possible, using tools such as product design, which would allow for the production of standardized modules that enable consumers to use furniture for different functions, or also enable the replacement of specific used parts and add new elements to prolong its lifetime. Other tools could include manufacturing with dismantling and recyclability in mind, or using non-toxic bio-based substitutes rather than fossil fuel-based glues, varnishes, and plastic coatings, to avoid contamination by non-recyclable and non-biodegradable materials. Other circular approaches include increasing product reuse by providing repair, refurbishment, and remanufacturing services, as well as the recycling of discarded furniture through the collection, sorting, and dismantling further down the value chain. But there are still challenges concretely to make the sector more circular. On one hand, there is limited infrastructure for recycling, reuse, repair, and remanufacturing, both on the consumer side and on the producer side. In addition, the demand for second-hand furniture reuse is low due to the availability and affordability of new low-cost products which are easy to transport, assemble, and dispose of. Recycling and recovery is particularly complex in connection with furniture, due to the material composition of products that may limit the possibilities of further use. While ensuring the recyclability and recovery of materials, the design strategies also need to take into consideration the needs of end users or consumers. Key components ensuring the functionality of the products are also often not made to last, and spare parts are not available on the market or only available for a limited time. And given the wide range of products and materials involved in furniture production, producers and other furniture industry actors need to take a systemic approach and adopt measures that are tailored to the specificities, size, and scale of different production facilities. In the previous modules, you have been learning about existing norms and certification for wood products that ensure that the wood is managed sustainably. In this new section, we will look at specific norms and certifications which are currently emerging that are really focusing on the development of circular economy. First, it's important to stress that standards are needed to ensure that product safety, performance, and reliability are maintained throughout the various cycles of products and materials. The norms and certifications should also make sure that data removal and security are considered if products are reused and ownership is transferred. As the legislation is evolving towards more repairability and remanufacture, having standards and norms that are going into that direction is also becoming more and more important. Specific methods and tools to assess aspects such as the proportion of reused components or the amount of recycled content in a product will be more and more needed. Standards will also be needed to guarantee the properties of the used materials. In the next slides, we will look at norms and standards focusing on circular economy. The first one is BS 8001, developed by BSI. It gives guidance to organizations of all types and size on the steps they can take to transition to a more sustainable and circular mode of operation. It aims to provide organizations with an understanding of what the circular economy is and how it may be relevant both now and in the future, and how to implement the principles of the circular economy in order to create direct and indirect value as a result of process, product, service, or business model innovation. However, BS 8001 is not intended to be prescriptive and does not lead to a specific certification, so companies should use it more as a structured type of guidance. The second norm is called CPXP X30901, and it was developed by French body certification AFNOR. It proposes a 3x7 matrix covering the 3 dimensions of sustainable development, environment, economy, and society, and the 7 areas of action of the circular economy: sustainable procurement, eco-design, industrial symbiosis, functional economy, responsible consumption, extension of service life, and the effective management of materials and products at the end of their life cycle. Like other management system standards, like 9001 or 14001 standards, it's based on the principle of continual improvement. It's intended to be a guide for project managers or sustainable development managers to ensure that the new projects truly achieve a circular economy. At international level, it's worth noting that the work from the ISO Technical Committee for Circular Economy is also aiming at developing a set of international standards. The future norms aim to cover all aspects of circular economy, including public procurement, production and distribution, end of life, as well as wider areas such as behavioral change in society, but also assessment, such as circularity footprints or indexes. So the first releases for those norms are expected during 2024, so in a short year. When going specifically in the wood sector, we can also introduce one particular certification that is called the Truly Reclaimed certification. It's a peer-reviewed certification for refurbishing shops specific to wood. And with the use of a QR code, you let consumers know of the previous life of the products they are buying. The new Truly Reclaimed label verifies that a product or a batch of material is genuinely reclaimed. The label provides assurance that an item is reclaimed and therefore offers a clear reduction in carbon emissions. Truly Reclaimed label also aims to increase the visibility of reclaimed products. So the information accessed through the unique QR codes can range from the past life of the materials to reclamation rescue stories to the embodied carbon that was saved through reuse. So very interesting label. Another certification project worth mentioning is the Circular Reliability Certification Project in Brussels. The objective is to gain customers' trust and their reuse construction-related products, including wood, through transparency. The project also wants to develop new professions in the field of recovery, treatment, and reimplementation of materials. So that's it for this first unit. In the next unit, we will dig deeper into circular business models and how they can be implemented in the forest wood furniture value chain.